Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into another chapter.
Always. Where are we headed this time?
This time we're looking at Chapter 9 of Underground to Canada with Julie and Liza. Remember Julie?
Of course. How could I forget her determination to escape?
Exactly. And this chapter, she meets Liza.
Ah, Liza. She's already tried to run away once, right?
Right, and paid a terrible price for it.
That's rough.
It is. And this whole chapter takes place on Master Riley's plantation. Things are going to get interesting.
You think so? It's a Sunday. Isn't that a day of rest?
Well, it was at the Henson plantation. Remember of the singing and dancing?
Oh, yeah. That felt like such a breath of fresh air compared to everything else they were going through.
Yeah, but Sundays at Riley's, completely different story. Just another day of work.
Wow. So Smucker really uses that contrast to emphasize just how oppressive this place is.
Exactly. It really sets the stage for what's about to happen. And then right into this oppressive atmosphere, Lester bursts in. Remember him? He and Julie made a pact to escape together.
Right.
And now he's found a possible way out.
Ooh, tell me more.
Okay, so there's this mysterious Massa Ross from Canada, and everyone thinks he's just there to catch birds.
To catch birds? What?
I know, right? But here's the twist. Massa Ross isn't really there to catch birds. He's there to help people escape to freedom.
No way. Seriously.
Seriously.
Wow. But how do they even talk about something like that? It's so dangerous.
I know. They have to meet in secret, whispering everything behind these cypress trees.
Can you imagine? Every little sound, every rustle of leaves.
Every buzzing insect. It's like their dreams could be shattered in an instant.
Yeah, and you can just feel that weight on them, the danger, the risk, just for daring to imagine something better.
It's intense. And then there's Liza. Her
Yeah.
reaction to all of this is just so raw. She's completely frozen at first.
That makes sense, though, right? I mean, she's already tried to escape, and it went so badly. The fear, the trauma.
Right. It must be overwhelming. But then, get this. Something incredible happens.
What happens?
A spark ignites within her. It's like all that fear and pain. It transforms into this fierce determination.
Like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I love that. But how does Smucker even describe something like that?
Well, she uses this really interesting analogy. She compares Liza to a battling stick.
A battling stick? What's that?
It's this tough, unyielding branch that's used for beating clothes.
Oh, okay. So it represents Liza's strength.
Exactly. But with this glimmer of hope, that battling stick becomes more than just a symbol of strength. It becomes a symbol of defiance. It's like she's saying, I'm not giving up. I'm going to fight for my freedom.
Wow, I love that. It's so powerful.
It really is. So, driven by this newfound hope, they all decide to meet Massa Ross under the cover of darkness in the piney woods.
The piney woods. Even the setting sounds significant.
It is. Those tall, sheltering trees, the way they create this secluded space, it's like they're offering protection.
Yeah.
And the darkness, of course, is like a cloak, hiding them from prying eyes.
That makes sense. They need all the protection they can get. So what happens when they meet Mr. Ross?
Well, he does something that completely blows Julie's mind. He shakes their hands.
He shakes their hands. That's it.
I know, it seems as a small thing, but to Julie, it's huge. Remember, she's lived her whole life being treated as property, less than human.
Right.
And here's this white man from the free world acknowledging her humanity in a way she's never experienced before.
Wow, I hadn't thought about it like that.
It's like that handshake is this bridge between two worlds that were supposed to be forever separate. And it opens up all these possibilities for Julie.
Yeah, I get it. But even with all this hope, Mr. Ross doesn't sugarcoat things. He's very honest about the dangers they'll face on the journey to Canada.
He tells them it won't be easy, that there will be risks. And even if they make it to Canada, it won't be a guaranteed paradise.
He's really laying it all out there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's forcing them to confront this difficult truth. Are they willing to risk everything for a chance at a life without chains?
That's a heavy question.
It is. And that's where the chapter gets really captivating. Because each of them, Jewel, Lottie, Liza, and Adam, another enslaved person who joins the group, they all share their own deeply personal reasons for wanting to escape.
Oh, I bet that's powerful. What do they say?
Well, Julie Mully, fueled by the memory of her mother and all the cruelty she's endured, she just straight up declares, I will not be whipped again.
Oh, wow. That's
I know, right?
It's
so simple, but
so powerful.
exactly. And then there's Liza. Her faith gives her the strength to claim her humanity.
Like, even though she's enslaved, she's still a child of God.
Yes. And Adam, well, he used to believe that slavery was just the way things were,
Yeah.
the only way of life. But now he's had this awakening. He sees that there's a possibility of a world without chains, a world where he can be truly free.
That's quite a transformation.
It is, and it's amazing how Smucker captures all of this. The way she gives each character their own voice, their own reasons for wanting freedom. It's like you can feel their desperation, their hope, their unwavering determination.
It sounds like a roller coaster of emotions.
It is. And then, right as they're absorbing all of this, Mr. Ross gives them a detailed plan for their escape.
Okay, what does he say?
Total secrecy, of course. Disguises. A specific meeting point. He's giving them not just a dream of freedom, but the tools and knowledge to fight for it.
It feels like things are really getting serious now.
They are. But as they're talking, the chilling call of a hoot owl pierces the night.
Oh, that can't be good.
It's like a punctuation mark, highlighting just how precarious their situation is.
It makes you wonder, will they make it? Or is that owl a sign of danger lurking just around the corner?
Exactly. It's such a brilliant way for Smucker to build suspense and remind us that freedom is still a long way off.
It really is. I mean, think about it. This whole chapter is about hope, but it's also about the fight for freedom. And that fight's on so many different levels here.
Right. You had the personal stories like Julie Vandley, Liza, Adam. They each have their own motivations, their own challenges to overcome. But at the same time, you get these glimpses of the wider world.
The growing abolitionist movement.
Yes. And people like Mr. Ross risking everything to help others escape.
It's like we're seeing two sides of the same coin, the very personal and then this much bigger historical context.
I love that. It's like those two sides are constantly pushing and pulling on each other.
Yeah.
Kind of influencing each other,
Exactly. It makes the whole story so much richer, so much more complex. And then you have those moments where the two sides actually come together.
Like when Lester interrupts Mr. Ross to ask about what an abolitionist is.
Yeah. It's just a small moment. But it shows you how much they're trying to understand, to make sense of this whole fight for freedom.
I mean, here they are, risking their lives to escape, but they're still curious. They're still seeking out knowledge.
Right. It just highlights how enslaved people weren't passive victims. They were actively trying to learn, to resist. And that knowledge, that awareness, it fueled their courage.
It makes their decision to escape even more powerful.
Exactly. I mean, they knew the risks, but they also understood what was at stake.
Freedom wasn't just some abstract concept for them.
It was the difference between living with dignity and unimaginable suffering.
And that's why their speeches in this chapter are so moving. Julie's declaration, I don't want to be whipped anymore. It's so raw, so real.
It cuts right to the heart of the matter.
It really does. And Liza, drawing strength from her faith, she asserts her humanity.
It's like she's saying, look, I may be enslaved, but I'm still a human being. I deserve to be treated with respect.
Yes. And Adam, who once thought slavery was just the natural order of things, he now sees a different possibility, a world without chains.
It's incredible how they all find their voice in this chapter, how they each express their yearning for freedom.
And the way Smucker describes them, you can really see how this hope is transforming them. Like she describes Liza's eyes snapping and dancing when she hears about the escape plan.
I remember that, and her face lit up with youthful hope.
It's beautiful, isn't it? This contrast between the darkness of their situation and this glimmer of light that's starting to shine through.
Yeah, even the moonlight filtering through the trees, it creates this sense of mystery and possibility. It's like the setting itself is mirroring their internal struggles.
Right. It's so powerful. And speaking of the setting, we can't forget about the symbolic significance of the piney woods themselves.
They're more than just a hiding place.
Exactly. They represent the unknown, the dangers that lie ahead on the road to freedom. It's like this tension between hope and fear.
I think that's what makes this chapter so gripping. You have the hope, the planning, the courage.
But then there's that constant reminder of the danger they're in.
And nothing drives that home more than that sudden call of the hoot owl at the end.
Oh, I know. It's like a chill down your spine. You're left wondering, will they be caught? Will their plan fall apart?
It's a brilliant way to end the chapter and leave the reader on the edge of their seat.
And keep them coming back for more. It makes you think about the sacrifices they're willing to make.
Absolutely. They're stepping into the unknown, leaving the only world they've ever known behind. But they're doing it for a chance at something better, a chance at freedom. It's a huge step. And you know what always strikes me? Smucker's storytelling.
Oh, yeah. She's amazing.
It's just incredible how she takes this historical event, the Underground Railroad, and makes it so personal.
Right. You really feel the emotions of these characters.
Exactly. Their struggles, their hopes.
Yeah.
It all comes to life. And she does such a great job of weaving those individual journeys together with this bigger picture of the fight against slavery. It's like you said
Yeah.
before, the two sides of the coin.
Yeah. And the way she uses the setting, those cypress trees, the dense piney woods.
Oh, yeah, they're characters themselves, right?
Yeah.
Providing shelter, but also concealing danger.
Exactly. It adds this whole other layer to the story.
Mhm.
And then you have those smaller moments that are just so powerful.
Like when Mr. Ross shakes hands with Julia and Liza.
That's the one. It's such a small gesture,
Right.
but it speaks volumes.
It really does. I mean, think about it. How often were they treated with basic respect by a white person?
Almost never.
Right. So for Mr. Ross to do that, it's like he's acknowledging their humanity.
Yeah. And it's more than just a personal gesture, too, right? It's like he's bridging this gap between two worlds, showing that there's a possibility for equality.
Right. And that's a powerful message, especially in the context of slavery. But even with all this hope, Mr. Ross doesn't try to paint a rosy picture of what's to come.
No. He's up front about the dangers. He tells them straight up that it won't be easy, that even Canada won't be perfect.
Which I think is important, because it shows he respects them enough to be honest. He's not just offering them false hope.
Right. He's preparing them for the long fight ahead. And it's in those moments that you really see the true strength of these characters. They're scared, but their desire for freedom is so much greater.
They're willing to risk everything, to face down any danger. It's really inspiring.
And the way Smucker portrays their individual stories, Jewel Lally wanting to follow her mother's dream, Liza's faith, Adam's awakening, it's just captivating.
And it makes their struggle feel so real, so relatable. You can't help but root for them. And, even though this chapter is specifically about their journey, it speaks to this larger human experience.
Well, yeah.
The fight against injustice, the longing for freedom, the resilience of the human spirit. It's something we can all connect with, regardless of our own background.
I think that's one of the reasons this book resonates so strongly with readers. It's more than just a historical novel. It's a story about hope, about courage, about the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most difficult challenges.
Exactly. And I think that's a good place to leave it for today.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But there's still so much more to explore in this book.
That's the beauty of a good story, isn't it? It stays with you long after you've finished reading. It makes you think, it makes you feel, and it might even inspire you to take action.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the stories that matter.